we need to run off and disappear into the mountains. You meditate, you learn kung fu, and then you come back. On ये red flag behavior है, you know, ये green flag behavior है. These terms didn't exist 20 years ago. The way that my family behaved around it gave me a sense that this is not something to be awkward about or ashamed of. I would, you know, force myself to go to bed and go to sleep, and at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, I would just wake up and my throat would be closing and constricting and my heart would be pounding. If you're street smart, you should do this type of role. अगर आपको अपना career आगे बढ़ाना है, you should try and work with this producer or this director. आजकल ऐसी फिल्में चल रहे हैं, so you should do this type of film. I also don't like the term toxic masculinity, frankly. Raja Hindustani, I think, is one which was a staggering hit. It's very uncomfortable to watch with today's sensibilities. You kind of think, oh man, this is...
His is a much look forward to come back. He's probably one of the most authentic, organic actors I have known, and I have had the privilege of knowing. His takes on life, his vulnerability, his brokenness, his mental health. He's been one of the very few actors who have candidly spoken about issues close to our heart and issues which definitely need to be normalized. I'm in conversation with the extremely charming and very, very forthright Imran Khan. Thank you. It's a privilege to have chat with you.
Thank you for having me.
Not at all. It's a pleasure.
Great to see you, man. It's been
yes,
too long.
It's been too long. My first question to you is obviously my most favorite question. What would you today look back and tell a young Imran Khan?
I guess I would tell my younger self to have less fear and to be more open to adventure and experimentation. It often happens, particularly in the film business, that once you get a little bit of success, you start to kind of generate this ecosystem around you of advisors and people who have ideas on the correct thing and the wrong thing and how the best way should be. And at a younger age, if you don't have that much experience, life experience, that much exposure, it is easy to kind of say, these people must know what they are talking about. You log bahut wise honge. So you then start to adjust and adapt and adjust and adapt. And I feel that it perhaps makes for a less interesting creative journey. If you aspire to be a creative person, as an actor, as a singer, as a writer, whatever it may be, interest only really comes when you feel free to experiment, rather than feeling constrained that I must deliver a certain thing. If you have a sense of, let's go wandering over there creatively and see what happens. That is where the magic happens. You may go wrong, you may trip and fall, but you'll find interesting things. So yeah, I would encourage myself to be a little more adventurous.
So did you get hedged in? See, one is you come from a film family. So obviously, I mean, I think your family is as normal and non-filmy as they come.
That's interesting use of the word normal. Thank you.
Yeah, very normal, very non-filmy. But like it or not, I'm sure films were discussed on the breakfast table. Mansoor was making Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak when you must have been a little kid. And what were those kind of influences? I mean, your grandfather was the Jubilee King of the 60s and 70s, Mr. Nasir Hussain. What was the kind of environment you grew up in? And did that impact you at all?
Yes, absolutely. And that is the thing, you know, the environment that I grew up in was one of great reverence for the craft and and my family encouraged a sense of fearlessness of creative adventure, uh, and these were kind of the guiding principles by which Mansoor made his films, by which Aamir made his films. These two guys were very influential for me growing up. They were they were in their own ways kind of these role models. And their approach to the craft was that you must approach it with creative honesty and with integrity. That is a lesson that I took away. And but even as I was learning the lesson from them, there was a sense that not all of the world functions in this way. Not all of the industry abides by these ideals, and it is very easy with additional influences for these kind of, it's a slightly ugly word, but I would call them corruptions. For these corruptions to start seeping in, which are ke,
Like, give me an example.
भाई if you're street smart, you should do this type of role. अगर आपको अपना career आगे बढ़ाना है, you should try and work with this producer or this director. आजकल ऐसी फिल्में चल रहे हैं, so you should do this type of film. The idea of a type of film which is popular and you do that type of film is a ludicrous notion, because films do not succeed or fail based on type. They succeed or fail basis, does the audience like it? You make 30 action films, you make amazing action films, they will all be a hit. If you make a dull, boring action film, even if that trend is ongoing, nobody will come to watch it. So these sorts of things of you should do this, you should do that, because it will be a smart career move.
Were there decisions which you had to do because it seemed like the correct, cool thing to do, or was there any of that?
Not overtly. As I look back on it, I have a very close and fond relationship actually with every film that I made. So I did try to be as honest as I could within that. I guess it is more that I did not take some roles or take on some projects that I kind of wish I had, or there are kinds of films that I wish I had tried, rather than regretting those which I did. That I'm at a place now where it is very important for me that my relationship with my work, every film that I make, is I consider it to be an extension of me. I put blood, sweat, tears, time, energy into it, working with a lot of people who I admire and love. And together we made some number of films. Every one of those is dear to me. So I don't regret any of that, certainly. I regret, I guess, not taking some chances, not
Like,
trying
give me an
some things.
example. Were there any films that you rejected or something, and you said, maybe I should have done?
Not that I can think of. There are some films which I passed on, which then ended up being made, and I don't feel bad about not doing those films. Sorry to anyone out there. No, I guess some of them didn't end up really getting made. There are some that, maybe at a project level, I was thinking, oh, it would be nice to develop this or go down this route. Shortly after Jaane released, in fact, I had it in my head that I wanted to take a year off, write a screenplay and direct a film. But at that point, everyone around was like, "Tu pagal hai kya? Your film has just released, it's a big hit, you're supposed to sign other films. Sign films take money." So, yeah, so I didn't take a year off and write a screenplay.
It's very interesting. There's such a resurgence on social media of everybody wants you to do Break Ke Baad, and I think Ek Mein Aur Ek Tu is everybody's favorite film. But I remember you were so severely criticized for your acting skills in, say, Break Ke Baad or a couple of films. Did that sort of bother you? And it's interesting because 10 years later, those similar films are being called cult, or they are being called, hey, we want Imran back, and everybody is quoting, and there are memes on that film, but there was a lot of talk about you not being able to deliver the goods. Is it because there were also commercial considerations? Like if the films were a hit, maybe people would have not talked about your acting skills or whatever. At that time, how did you process all this?
See, at that point, I guess my relationship with it was far less mature, and it is easy even today to buy into the idea that the entire measure of a film is how many rupees it earns at the box office. That is the be all and the end all, and you measure all films by a dollar amount. Uh, I believe that that is one valid metric, but it is not the sole metric. The actual metric, according to me, is over time. Do people revisit your film? There are any number of films which, over the past, if you go back to 10 years or 15 years ago, which may have earned many, many bucks at the box office, but since then, nobody goes back to rewatch them. Nobody thinks fondly of those films. That to me is a successful commercial product, but not a successful film.
Your films have aged very well.
I believe that that is a relevant measure. Does a film hold up over time?
But did it bother you with the criticism at that point? Because, and also, I think it's an unfair competition. You started off your career being compared to Ranbir Kapoor. I don't know whether that was a marketing device or, it just seemed unfair. As it is, you have the burden of a film family to come with, and then suddenly you are compared to XYZ. So did that sort of, put you on the back foot?
Not significantly. I guess more than anything, it is a much more about my own internal processes. I have always had a sense of myself just being on the back foot. I don't have a very, shall we say, outgoing persona. I'm a bit more reserved, I'm a bit more shy. And within that, I think there is a great deal of self-effacement that is just inherent to how I engage with the world. So I myself had a sense of, dude, I don't think I'm any great actor. I don't think I'm that. I'm just a guy who's trying. So I don't see myself as a highly accomplished person. So I would instinctively look at other actors. Ranbir is a fine actor. Anyone else who are my peers and contemporaries at the time. By and large, I had a sense of not being able to measure up in any. Yeah, I'm like, I don't think I'm as good a dancer as him. I don't think I'm as like muscular as him. They're all, so to me, somewhere in my head, I was always playing catch up.
So, what is the best and the worst piece of advice, say, Aamir or Mansoor have given you?
Those guys never gave me any advice, man. Mansoor Mamu was too busy making cheese up in the hills. Like,
in Kunur.
He's like, to hell with this film industry and all of it.
Don't you think he gave up too soon? Like he was such a fine filmmaker and a fine human being, like, and so sensitive and all that. Just gave up too soon, no?
It's a family problem. We have this thing.
Yeah, periodically take
every so often we need to run off and disappear into the mountains. You meditate, you learn kung fu, and then you come back. It's the family approach.
What is the kind of conversation when there's a family reunion? You have nephews and nieces, Aamir's kids and Mansoor's kids and all of that. What's the kind of conversations you all have?
Is never really film related.
Yeah, obviously.
Also because we are now at a place where there are so many people within the family who are working in the business. Everyone's got stuff, and your project is moving there, that person's project is there. So when you meet, rather than catching them up on, acha, phir aisa hua, phir ye hua, phir ye hua,
like do you meet often as a family, all of you all?
At least once a month, we're all kind of mostly together. There's some lunch, dinner, gathering. So between the cousins and the whole family, yeah, there is a lot of interaction. We all live really close by. We're all kind of in this circuit around Pali Hill, on this part of it, on this part, on this part of it. So there is a lot of interaction. the conversations are always more personal, more family life and such. We never really talk films.
I also, it's interesting because many years ago, you had told me how the school system had completely battered you. You when you went to Scottish and you were caned severely, and then of course you moved to Rishi Valley, and it.
Valley School, not Rishi Valley.
Sorry. You moved to Valley School.
Sister
Yeah,
schools.
yeah. And
Shout out to Rishi Valley guys.
did it sort of impact your personality in any way?
Funny thing, Jo Jeeta Wohi Sikandar released in the last year that I was in school in Bombay. I had a small part in that. I played Junior Aamir. And there's this memorable moment in the song where I'm riding a bicycle and my elder brother comes up and pulls my pants off, displaying my butt to the world. Now, this scene was shot without me being aware of what was going to happen. These are my two dear uncles, Mansoor and Aamir. They're on set. They're like, Imran, can you ride the bicycle? I'm like, of course. Can you stand on the pedals while riding? I'm like, of course I can. Karke dikhao. So off I go to do the take, and there I am riding the bicycle. And this guy comes up from behind and pulls my pants off. I was shocked and horrified and what have you. This was the 90s, so the notions of consent and all of this did not exist. Today we would really question this. Can you disrobe a child on camera without their knowledge and consent? And I found myself dealing with this in school because now you're 9 years old, you're in a school, and all of the kids in school have seen your butt on screen. So there was some ragging and teasing over there. And around there is where I kind of figured for myself that you have to develop a skin that can manage and tolerate this thing. You have to own it and say, yeah, so what? So I guess that was the only real shade of that that I had. Following that, all schools that I went to were so alternative, so far off the beaten path that I didn't really encounter anything like that. And thereafter, my schooling and my life experiences, I guess, led me to a place where I didn't have those kinds of insecurities, the sense of somebody is teasing me. I reached a place of saying, that's you, man. It's not me. Doesn't stick.
You come from a pretty liberated, pretty permissive, and extremely together family in that sense. But did at any point your parents' separation, or then your mother subsequently remarried, did that impact your personality in any way?
Again, in kind of the counter way that you would imagine. My mom and dad divorced when I was about 3 years old, and I was born in the States, and then we moved to India. So when I was about 4 years old, 5 years old, again I was in school in Bombay, and I was the only kid in my class whose parents were divorced. It was not a standard thing back then. This is the 80s. But the way that my mom communicated it to me, the way that my family behaved around it, gave me a sense that this is not something to be awkward about or ashamed of. And subsequently, when my mom remarried, I now had two fathers, both of whom loved me and cared for me. And so my very early on, my perspective on these sorts of things shifted, where I said, okay, I'm not feeling awkward about this, or I'm not feeling that I'm somehow lesser than someone whose parents are quote unquote happily married. I am a person who is blessed with two loving fathers. I guess I've got 50% extra. So that is how it affected me. That I
That's very beautiful. Yeah. Also, you've extensively spoken about your mental health condition. Also, Ira has spoken about it, and Amir has referred to being. So, what if there's a trigger at all, or was it like I mean, we're all dealing with anxiety. We're all dealing with anxiety, and periodically we all get triggered and all of that. But was there any point? Was it the pressures of showbiz? Was it the like you said, having to conform to certain, what really made you sort of look at yourself, look it in the eye actually, and say, okay, here's a problem and this is how I'm going to deal with it. Also, like, I remember you were doing two shifts, and it was a crazy time at that point,
for a
between
while,
say
yeah.
2008 to 2015. It was your those 7-8 years was really.
Yeah.
So did that take a toll? How did it all sort of unravel?
Well, there are so many shades and layers to this, yeah. There is one part of it which is working as an actor within the film industry uh, comes with this whole emotional roller coaster. The ups, the downs, this whole space. It is a very potent and very heady cocktail, uh, and it is a challenge for anyone to navigate, be they from a privileged industry family background or an outsider, whomever you are. If you get to play in some way within this arena, it is a lot. It is a tremendous thing to learn your own relationship with it, your own regulation, and to find your balance. It is challenging for absolutely anyone. And frankly, I do not believe that the challenges that I faced in that area were significantly more difficult or more stressful than anyone really. I think in most ways, uh, I had quite an easy ride with a lot of stuff. So it really is not that part of it. It is much more to do with your own emotional core, and how you are balanced and how you are centered. The thing is the thing. How you relate to it is upon you. I do not believe that I was in a place where I was, I guess, well equipped enough to to engage with all of that. There is a whole personal part of me that needed attention and needed growth and healing in order for me to be able to engage with that in a balanced and healthy way. So if you're not healthy and strong on the inside, you will not be able to deal with that stuff. I found myself more and more feeling distant from that world and from that life. Uh, Around the time that Imara was born, I had already decided to take some time off. I took about a year off just when she was born. Uh, and I went back to make a film, Katti Batti, just after she was born. And already I had started to have this sense of pullback and a sense that I was seeking something that I was not getting here. A sense that there is something else in life. I have to do another thing. So I started first just to creatively pull back a little bit and say, okay, just because films are being offered does not mean I have to make this many films in a year. Once you get into the groove of things, you have a sense of, okay, one film a year, two films a year, you should keep churning, you should keep doing. And for me, I was feeling like that was not the correct path. So I started to pull back. I started to hear fewer scripts. When I would hear a script or read a script, I would look at it and say, okay, but my heart is not feeling it. This is not uh, this is not calling to me. And within that, there was a growing sense of where I would look at myself And I'll repeat this phrase because it's almost exactly what I said to my analyst the first day I walked in and asked for an appointment. We all have a mental self-image of ourselves. If I ask you to describe Jitesh, you will describe yourself in a certain way. This is how you perceive yourself. I am this kind of a person. And it was becoming extremely apparent to me that I was not the guy who I saw in my head. I would have described myself as a very easygoing, chill, laid-back guy, a guy who has no baggage, a guy who's unencumbered. But I was perceiving that actually I was a very scared and closed-off person. I was a person who was barely holding it together. And I said, but that's not who I think I am. I think I'm this super chill guy. How can I be a scared guy? Something's not lining up. It's out of sync. So when I described this to my analyst and said, in my head I see myself as one person. The guy sitting in front of you today is not that guy, and I want to find my way to that person. Much the way that a physical health journey, where you would say, I want to be fit and healthy in this way, so also it is with the emotional and the psychological journey. So once I put my finger on and said, here is the thing, I am not how I would like to be. I want to be stronger. I want to be healthier. I want to be better. That is, for me, the flashpoint. That must have been in, I guess, 2016? Yeah, mid 2016.
So, what were you depressed? Were you feeling anxious?
Now, see,
What
all
were
of
the
these
symptoms?
See, all of these are words that we apply, but if you don't know what the thing feels like, you can't say it. For example, I would never have said that I had anxiety. But for a couple of years, for those years, 2015, 16, I couldn't sleep. I would, force myself to go to bed and go to sleep. And at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, I would just wake up and my throat would be closing and constricting and my heart would be pounding. And I would just lie there, sweating and choking for hours in the middle of the night. But I never said I have anxiety. You don't say the word. If someone had asked me the following morning, hey, you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. Why? You sleep okay? Yeah, I slept fine. Hey, Imran, do you think you have anxiety? Other people have anxiety. I don't have anxiety. So, at that time, you may be experiencing the thing, but you will not call it out. You will not say that. You say, hey, I'm fine. Who has stress? I don't have stress. I'm not stressed. You are experiencing all of this stuff. The thing is to put your finger on and acknowledge it, even for yourself. It's scary to acknowledge even for self. So it was when I looked back and said, I think that for the last few years, I have been feeling severe anxiety and depression. I would go to events as part of the business. You have to socialize a fair bit.
You even hosted the Filmfare Awards, which is a huge thing.
That was fun. Yeah. I'm talking about just, you're at someone's home for dinner. Periodically, I would have to go and I would lock myself in the bathroom and I would have this whole stress out breakdown session. Grab a towel and scream into the thing and get this thing out. And then you go out and you go, hey guys, what did I miss? Arey, next course. You don't acknowledge the thing. You don't actually say, even to yourself, because it's too scary to admit. Finally, when you start looking at it, saying, dude, that's not normal behavior. How come you have to keep going and hiding in the bathroom and screaming into a towel? How come you're lying awake through the night, unable to sleep, feeling like you're choking? Must be something wrong. You have to acknowledge it. So it took me a few years of normalizing that, where I look back and said, none of that stuff was normal.
So does it have to also to do with the inner child healing? What exactly? And I'm sorry if I'm getting personal, but did it have to do with the breakup of your marriage? Did any of that also manifest in?
Well, see, this journey, my own stuff was long before I actually separated. I was already in the last few years of my marriage grappling with some of the darkest parts of that feeling. Uh, and I guess I entered into this relationship when I was very young. You know, I was 19, and in all good faith and good intention. But as is sometimes the case with these kinds of long-term relationships, particularly where you start at a very young age, I guess a lot of the dynamics, the interpersonal dynamics and patterns get set in how you were as a teenager. And as you grow, perhaps I think all of those did not grow and evolve enough. And in some way, we were not supporting or empowering each other to be the healthiest versions of ourselves. Uh, that 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 was an unfortunate, I guess, an unfortunate facet of our dynamic. So I was a couple of years into my own, I guess, mental health journey. In the middle of that is ultimately where I made the choice to separate.
And what would you tell other men going through, obviously not advice for bad marriages, but I'm talking about mental health, because most men on screen are playing alpha males, and big boys don't cry, and the kind of like I said, I come back to adolescence, the kind of imagery, we see our fathers as stuffies and we see our uncles as stuffies, and there is this entire toxic patriarchy that the movies propagate. So what would your advice be to things like that? How do men grapple with?
I feel that the way that we as society, industry, I don't like to cast blame. Rather, I would say that rather my approach would be to uh, point at a problem or a flaw in the way that we all interact, with an aim to addressing that. So it's not a blame thing. I feel that societally, this thing that you say about the way that we talk about strength, the way that we define strength, is very narrow. Uh, we define it in ways that conform to a very simplistic narrative. I have very, very big, strong biceps. If I punch, five men go flying. This is strong. It is one kind of strength, certainly. Emotional strength is, I think, undervalued and under recognized. Emotional strength is not saying boys don't cry, it is not avoiding pain, which is generally the approach with this. What should be? I also don't like the term toxic masculinity, frankly, because I feel that it it puts a person on the defensive. If you tell someone कि bro ये toxic masculinity है, that person feels called out, and then you are not doing, you're not reaching them. I heard this term which I prefer to use, which is limiting masculinity or limited masculinity. You are restricting and limiting masculinity कि only these things can be masculine. Emotional sensitivity is not allowed to be masculine. मगर क्यों? Why can I not incorporate this also into my masculinity? So I don't like the phrase toxic masculinity. Restrictive or limiting masculinity does this thing to men. It says that men cannot be emotionally sensitive. It says that men must not feel pain. ऐसा क्यों? To be able to feel the pain, acknowledge it, experience it, and let it pass through you, this is strength. This is actual strength. Uh, so I think there is value in shifting that narrative and shifting our perception of it and allowing for that, allowing for all of these things to come in. Tenderness, love, joy. For a man, I have a daughter. When I see her playing, when I see her smile and laugh, the there is this warmth that comes inside. it sparks, tears come to your eyes. Is that not masculine? I believe it is.
Yeah. And was there stigma attached? Like, forget the trade. I mean, or forget the what's said in the media. But you didn't work for say 10 years. Was there stigma attached to that? And like I remember, you said ki you woke up in the night feeling this, and then obviously you were also a single parent, so you had a child to look after. So how did you deal with all these conflicting emotions?
There was a fair bit of that for some time. This sense of, and again, it feeds into that restrictive masculinity space of, as a man, if you are not going to work and you are not earning, then what are you? How can anyone respect you? What is your worth? Uh, and for me,
Why did you decide not to work at all?
I couldn't.
Because your mental health was.
I literally could not. Uh, I've been kind of out of public eye for some time. So I wasn't seen out in public. But if you look at photographs of me from 5-7 years ago, I look like an unhealthy. I look like a person dealing with a grave health condition. Uh, that's how I looked. I could. There were days where I couldn't get out of bed. I like just to get out of bed, brush teeth, and put on clothes. Too much effort. Cannot do.
Like what are the kind of because Ira especially has been extremely, she started very interesting, I mean not a very useful, she started something that's very very useful, and I have myself sent a couple of people there. uh, how did y'all as a family, I mean each of y'all have dealt and grappled with mental health as a family? Did that sort of get y'all closer? What was what is been.
Yeah. Uh, I guess as uh, as everyone, one after the other, started to reach places in their life where they became conscious of their own emotional mental health journey, and whatever the specificity of anyone's journey may be and whatever their requirements may be, this certainly did lead to, I guess, a greater closeness, and in some ways a breaking down of some of the barriers that may exist between generations. In some other families where there may be, I guess, a bit more rigidity and formality between generations, over here there is much greater fluidity and a greater sense of kind of an egalitarian atmosphere where we can all talk and say, hey, listen, I'm dealing with this thing. I understand what you are dealing
But
with.
I've always felt that, especially about your family, it's more real. The walls are very
Yeah, so we're
thinly.
able to have these conversations with each other with a sense of kindness and empathy, and support without judgment. It is a particularly I say this, with no particular disrespect, but I have many friends, and you see a lot of other families. Our family is entirely free of judgment. There is
It's
no
beautiful.
there is no judgment upon people. There is a great sense of acceptance and understanding of, okay, you be like this. All people are different shapes. We are all irregular shapes. We will accept your shape.
That's lovely. Did any of your film friends reach out to you? Did you were there support groups within the industry? I think you alienated, not alienated, but you just distanced yourself a lot,
I
right?
did distance myself quite a bit.
Was that a good thing?
In its own way, yes. But for what it's worth, while working, sometimes you form very close bonds with some people. Some people they are your co-workers first, and you're friendly with them, but they may not become solid friends. Those people who became friends and continue to be there. A lot of the directors I worked with, Puneet, Danish, Ali, these guys were close friends and continue to be. and you're often perplexed by my choices. Like, bro, what are you doing? Why are you not making films? Because all these guys were working, and they're like, "तू seriously picture नहीं करेगा क्या?" So it's sometimes it's difficult for them to understand. But a lot of my friends, a lot of my industry friends, remained exactly the same. They're like, okay, fine, I'm still your friend. You're not acting, sure. So yeah, there were enough.
And then you got into a relationship. You're dating Lekha. What are like the relationship things that you would unlearn and redo or do differently today? Like, see, also, when you have a partner who understands mental health and what you're going through, obviously you need a partner with a lot of empathy.
Yeah.
So besides that, what is it that is different about this relationship? How would you navigate a new relationship today?
The simplest thing is that I have a greater understanding of what are acceptable parameters for interpersonal interaction. Today, everyone, thanks to social media, I guess, seems to be very clued in on ye red flag behavior hai, ye green flag behavior hai. These terms didn't exist 20 years ago. When I was, a 20-something-year-old guy, there was no such, you had not heard the phrase, this is a red flag, ye red flag behavior hai. And so you just chalk things up to people are emotional, log aise hote hain, log waise hote hain. It's fine. Today, I am at a place where I have a greater understanding of, nee, this is who I am. These are my boundaries, and these are valid boundaries. So to be able to express those without fear of retribution, without fear of punishment, these boundaries are there. That is, I think, a major learning that I've had, and is how I now manage all relationships going forward, not just romantic, but the idea of here these are my boundaries, and as a person, everyone is entitled to whatever their boundaries may be.
So, like for example, how did she reach out to you? How did you all meet? Because you were dealing with so much at that point, and then things settled down. Did she reach out to you? I mean, how do you navigate a relationship today?
Well, we started to actually get close in the early days of COVID. So I had been separated for about a year. Early 2019 is when I split, but that year was basically a write-off. I was not really a functioning human being in that year. At around that time, we had gone into lockdown. I was staying at home with my mom and with Imara. And I'm going to sound like, an entitled, privileged ass here, but please bear with me. I'd been acting for a long time. I had earned money. One had people to do things. We lived in this big house, and suddenly there is no one. There is no gate man. There is no gardener. There is no one to clean the house. There is no one to cook. I have my mom, who is, 60 at that point. I had my small child and myself. And I was dealing with all of this baggage and stuff of, trying to fix myself after exiting this marriage. And suddenly, in those initial days, the city is locked down, the house is locked down, there is no one. We needed food. Where does this come from? Someone has to get it. There's only me. So I didn't know what to do, where to go. And we are not supposed to be leaving the house officially. So I would be, wearing gloves and plastic bags on my shoes and a mask and going out in the streets of Bandra, trying to buy food and rations for the house. Because again, there was nobody but my daughter, my mother, and myself. So I'm out there trying to buy eggs, trying to buy tomatoes from a guy on the street with this thing of, I have to go out and get this stuff. I have to cook. I've got to look after, and who knows where this is going? What the future holds? Those were very scary days. Uh, Around then is when Lekha and I started chatting. We had known each other from before.
Okay.
Because we're all kind of within one group of friends.
Okay.
But we had not been, I guess, romantically involved. She was also seeing someone else, but they had separated at that point. We had started chatting, and because she lived in Bandra near me, at some point she said, "Come, I will help you. We'll go out and we will buy food for the house." She was also alone at that point. And so the two of us were walking the streets of Bandra, trying to buy
in
food.
Plastic bags.
Yeah. Buying food, buying vegetables, all of this. And then she would come home and help me out. She would help me in the house. And that is kind of where we started to grow close. Because I felt like this completely helpless, broken, lost person who's like, I don't know how to manage any of this. And she was the person who supported me. She was the person who helped me through this stuff. So yeah, it was, I guess, technically illegal because you're not supposed to go out. You're not supposed to go to someone else's house. But that's where I actually started to grow close and start to feel like there's someone here who is standing by and supporting me and helping me at a time when I'm really fucking scared.
And also it's beautiful how you're as a single parent. So do you speak to other single parents? Like, I believe you don't have a nanny, you don't have a cook, you don't have anything, and you drop your daughter to I'm not making a virtue of it because it's the most natural thing to do.
Yeah.
But do you have conversations with other single parents about, and what are the kind of conversations your daughter has with you?
My daughter and I have formed a tremendously close and open relationship, which is something that I've really wanted to grow and develop my relationship with her in that way. I've wanted her to have a sense of comfort and security, to have the sense that I'm there for her. I've got her back, but also the sense that she should feel easy and open about talking to me, and without a fear of judgment. So we have grown that, I believe, that.
Does she shock you with any kind of conversations and all of that?
Not yet. Surely that moment will come.
But like, what are the conversations she has with you? Like something that has really startled you, or made you gently pleased with yourself as a parent.
There are parts of the thing which I guess I don't want to talk about on camera. But she has spoken to me about I guess emotional parts of herself. That raat ko when you're putting them to bed and the lights are dim, you have that. You have those 5-10 minutes of, it's a safe, intimate space where she will talk to me about the feelings in her heart. And at times I have been so overwhelmed by the fact that she is sharing that with me. I'm like, oh, thank you for talking to me. Thank you for telling me this thing. I feel that I feel like you trust me. That's priceless.
Yeah, nice. You tell me some of your happy movie moments you worked with Deepika. Like I remember we came to, I think it was Maldives or Seychelles,
Mauritius.
and we shot this wonderful, which I think is one of your finest photo
Gorgeous, right?
shoots.
That photo shoot.
Yeah.
Because it
So
was sunsetting, we were getting that gorgeous light.
yeah, it was beautiful. So Abhay had shot it. I remember.
How's Abhay? I miss him, man.
So एक में और एक तू, or you worked with massive stars like Kareena Kapoor and Deepika and Sonam, a lot of that. So do you recall any funny memories, embarrassing memories, happy moments, something that you can talk about?
There was that run of films, kind of from I Hate Love Stories, Break के बाद, एक में और एक तू, मेरे brother की दुल्हन, which were all first-time directors. So there were these young sets, where the entire crew was this group of 25, 27-year-old enthu cutlets. Everyone there excited about making a film, overjoyed to be on set. Those were the best films. Those were so joyous to make. I Hate Love Stories was a joy. Break Ke Baad was a joy. Every day there's this enthusiasm on set. Everyone, enthusiasm in the day, hectic parties every night.
I remember the New Zealand outdoor.
I guess somebody has to remember the New Zealand outdoor, because I don't think that anyone...
Everyone was too drunk.
I don't think anyone from the crew of I Hate Love Stories remembers that New Zealand outdoor. The partying on that schedule was off the hook.
Insane,
as I recall.
Yeah.
It had this vibe, and I believe that vibe also percolates into the film. If the people making the film have love and joy, I believe that it percolates into the film, and somewhere that translates. The viewer is looking and saying, "This is fun. This feels good." There's just a happy feeling infused into it. Those are genuinely some of my happiest days, and I have such fond memories and feelings towards those days and those films. Like Puneet, I made 2 films with, and I still consider him to be a very very close person. I haven't, because I've been underground, but I haven't bumped into Sonam or Deepika or any of them in a few years. But the feeling, I think, would just come right back of, hey man, we had fun. We made a lovely film together. They're delightful. They're all.
Anything you would have done differently as an actor?
Carried less weight on my shoulders and done it with less clenchedness too. Drop the stuff. Toss the stuff off. That's how I would have.
So have you, I mean, you don't have to get into the specifics, but have you started shooting for your new film? Anything that you can say?
And we're not rolling cameras.
Okay.
I have to choose my words very carefully so that I don't end up on the wrong side of the law. I have been working hard with a couple of friends to put a film together. We are in the preparatory stages, and if all goes well, within a month or two, hopefully, we should be rolling.
In between, you also directed a short film.
Yes. Which Puneet produced, in fact.
Okay.
That was a blast. That was such a passion project, and it came about because Puneet called me. Puneet called me and said, "Hey, listen, we want to make a film. So we want to make a short film about this Mars mission and all that. You're into all that nerdy science stuff, no?" Puneet's words exactly. "You're into all that nerdy science stuff, no? Tu karega?" I said, "Are you talking about Mangalyaan?" He said, "Ha, wohi." I said, "Puneet, listen, you don't understand. This is a towering achievement for ISRO." And in that, he's like, "Ha, this is why I called you." So the film was about Mangalyaan, about India's Mars orbiter mission. And back then, 2013, when the mission was actually underway, I'm a sci-fi nerd, I'm a sci-tech nerd, so I was actually following the mission, and I was very enthusiastic about it. I thought it was a great achievement. So when I got the opportunity to make a film, I was like, yes, I approached it with such passion, such enthusiasm. I co-wrote the screenplay with my friend Abhishek. We directed the film, shot in 4 days. And I have to say, tip of the hat to Puneet, thank you. He went above and beyond. He pulled out all the stops. He's like, whatever you imagine, I will make it happen for you. I do not believe that anyone has had a producer who opened up the purse strings that much. Somewhere you would imagine a producer would pull it back. Puneet was like, Imran ko jo chahiye milega. So we were joking on the film that it's not a short film, it's a mini feature. Because our production design, our cinematography, Anuj Dhawan, great cinematographer, just every aspect of it, Puneet backed it up and supported in such a way, and I think it is a very high quality film, in my humble opinion.
So there is an director in you, which ultimately
Yeah.
you'll make movies. I'm also very keen to know what is the kind of conversations you had with, say, your grandfather. Like what of his films are your favorites in his genre, and what are the kind of conversations you had with him, if at all you did?
Never about the work. My grandfather to me was this magician of a storyteller. From my earliest memories would be me running to him and saying, "Tell me a story, Nana. Tell me a story, Nana. Tell me a story." And he would, just like this, start weaving a story. He always told me stories with me as the protagonist. Okay, Imran, as I said, I guess this is a habit left over from the old days. You narrate scripts to a hero. Okay, आपका character ऐसे करता है, फिर वहाँ जाता है. So I guess that is something he had from there. But he would weave these stories, magical, fantastical, just endless stories, a different story, a new story every time, and it enthralled me. It was magic. And at its core, I think that is where I fell in love with the thing. The idea of weaving a story and taking someone on an emotional journey with the story you're telling them. So without him, because by the time I was born, he had already retired from filmmaking. So to me, he was not a professional in that sense. He was this story weaver. That's I guess where I picked it up from. The makers were Mansoor and Aamir. So the craft I learned by observing them.
Because I remember Aamir was deeply involved even with, say, Jaane, editing and Delhi Belly, re-editing a lot of Delhi Belly. What I mean, everybody knows about his passion, and others will drop dead around him, but he will continue to work and continue. There is a certain. But is there something you would like to do like Aamir does, or?
In my own way, I am tremendously led by him. Uh, through life, I have so many times when faced with particularly a dilemma of some kind, what would Amir do? And I may not approach it in exactly the same way as him. Uh, a lot of our methodologies and a lot of our beliefs are different. But at its core, he has always been driven by integrity, by authenticity. Uh, so you must do what is right, what is morally justifiable. So your guiding principle must come from what is morally justifiable, and then what is the most truthful and most authentic way that we can render this story or communicate it. Those are kind of the core guiding principles which I've learned from him, which I still adhere to. Now that may translate into different ways. He might creatively have a perspective that is different from mine, and we may differ at that level. But the intent is always the same, and that to this day, I follow that ethos. How would Aamir engage
No,
with this?
I see that despite your vulnerabilities, I see a lot of integrity in you, which is very beautiful, and it's not posturing. It just comes very automatically. Is there a film of Amir you have disagreed with violently, and is there something which he directed or which he
He's directed only the one.
acted in? Anything that you disagreed with?
You know, there's some of his 90s films that have
Love.
that have not aged well, and when you look at them through a modern lens, are kind of problematic. And
Dil. I remember that.
there are moments that are quite uncomfortable.
Huh.
Raja Hindustani, I think, is one which was a staggering hit. It's very uncomfortable to watch with today's sensibilities. You kind of think, oh man, this is wrong. We're not supposed to.
It's not politically correct.
Yeah. So there are a fair number of his 90s films that are uncomfortable by today's measure.
I have to ask you, cliche does it sound, what is your take on the nepotism debate? Do you think it, in terms of privilege is privilege, you cannot fight it. You cannot be apologetic about
More
it.
than fight it or deny it, I think, firstly, it is an absolutely valid and relevant conversation to be had. We tend to focus it very narrowly on the film business because it's more visible. It extends outwards to all areas. So it is an absolutely valid conversation to have at all spheres. The relevant conversation is not about whether someone has privilege or not. I do. Many of us in the business do. The relevant conversation is, how do you engage with that? Are you
taking it further?
Yes. Are you using your position of privilege to hold out a hand or to open a door for someone else? Are you using that, or are you coasting on it, I got mine, screw everybody else? I think that is the part particularly that rubs everyone the wrong way. If you are in a position where some doors are opened for you just by virtue of whom your family is, once you're through that door, are you holding the door open for someone else? Are you supporting and empowering other people also?
Have you done that in your?
I for what it's worth, I have tried to. Through my career, I tended to gravitate towards first-time filmmakers, directors who did not come with a big name of their own, who were making their first film. Starting from Jaane 2, which was not an Aamir Khan film's production. When I signed the film, it was being produced by Jhamu Sugandh. So it was not a family project that was launching me. I was signed on to a film which then ran into financial difficulty and then was picked up by AK Prod. But starting with Abbas on Jaane 2, Puneet on I Hate Love Stories, Ali Abbas Zafar, Danish Aslam, Shakun, one after the other, for the most part, I tried to make films with first-time filmmakers. Okay, I'm getting a shot because of who I am. Can I take someone with me?
Anyway, thank you so much for being part of this. I had it's been a real delight chatting with you. And
Likewise.
Before you go, I have an audience here which wants to ask you a few questions. Shoot.
Hi Imran. So the first question is that what are the 3 things that you're really good at as a lover or a boyfriend, like giving reassurance or planning date nights?
3 things.
That's too less.
Yeah, it's no. When you restrict it to numbers, you have to deliver a certain amount of points. I always get thrown. I am good at, I guess, anticipating what might be. I'm the guy who is over super prepared. I am good at figuring whether you're going out or ordering in, which is more often the case. Best new restaurant, whatever is the perfect meal for the occasion. And I'm great at setting the ideal playlist for the vibe. Different times, different scenario, different vibe. I can always find the best playlist.
Thank you.
Hi Imran. Who is the Aditi in your life?
The Aditi in my life. Ah, that's a difficult one because uh, the Jai and Aditi dynamic is not just a boyfriend girlfriend. It's not just a romantic relationship dynamic. There are far more layers to that. Jai and Aditi are solid, fast friends first, who then become that couple. So I wouldn't say that I have exactly that. No.
Hi Imran, so your fans are eagerly waiting for your comeback and they make a lot of reels and memes on social media like Lotao Imran and you react to them as well. So my first question is, how do you feel when you see all those posts about you and when you react with them, where does that come from? Are you trying to build up to your comeback or you just genuinely want to connect to your fans?
I feel my feeling about it, I guess, has evolved a bit over the past year. Initially, there was a strong sense of disbelief uh, because I'm still not really on social media. For years, I wasn't. So, as friends would say, "Hey, I saw this meme on social media," they would forward it to me. I would be unbelieving. Uh, and then, as I started to engage and connect with it, it was more from a sense of like, कोई message कर रहा है, so you respond saying, "Oh, really? You like my movie? Thank you." But it's such an old movie. It's been 10 years. How come you still remember it? Acha, you still like it after all these years? And then you start to come to a place of genuine appreciation. I'm also a movie buff, right? I mean, I've grown up loving movies. My favorite movies, my favorite on-screen heroes, whomever. I know the way that it resonates with me emotionally when I see that film.
By the way, I have to tell you another horrific story about him. He papped this paparazzi culture. He papped Jack Nicholson. When he was in film school. So you must know that.
That was a life learning for me.
You want to tell us that story?
I was employed for a short while as a camera operator. This was right out of film school in LA for a reality TV show. They only made 2 episodes, which never aired. But one of the episodes was shot at Robert Evans's house. For those who don't know, Robert Evans was the head of Paramount Studios in the 70s.
Wow.
Under his direction, they made The Godfather, they made Rosemary's Baby, they made Love Story. A lot of great films. Very, very big guy in Hollywood. And we were shooting an episode at his house. And Jack Nicholson was present. And obviously, I'm a fan. So I tried a few times to get shots of him. And every time I would approach, he would kind of shy away. So I think I gave it 2 or 3 attempts. And after the 3rd attempt, I suddenly had this thing of, what am I doing? Am I a paparazzo? Am I harassing Jack Nicholson? I feel terrible. And I felt so bad about it that I was like getting caught up in my head and getting into this funk. And my friend who was with me, Barry, who's also a camera operator, he was like, "Bro, just go and talk to him." I was like, "Are you mad? I can't go and talk to him." He said, "Just what will happen? Either he'll be nice or he'll be about it." If he's so I put the camera off and I put it away. And I approached him, and at some point I found him kind of standing outside on the patio. I guess he was getting a quiet moment. Perfect time to go and interrupt. So I walked up and said, "Excuse me, sir, I just wanted to apologize. I didn't mean to intrude on your space, and I feel really bad about it, so I'm sorry." And he did this great Jack Nicholson take. He's like, it's all right, don't apologize. You're just doing your job. I understand that. Don't apologize for doing your job. And this great sense of relief came over me. And it gave me this life lesson, which paired with later that same evening, a big director who I will not name acted like a real prick, speaking down to people, doing the you. And while he was a commercially successful director, he's not at Jack Nicholson's level. This is Jack Nicholson. This man is over there. And I remember at that point doing this thing of look at who Jack Nicholson is and look at how kindly he spoke to me. I'm nobody. This guy has had 2 commercial hits. I don't think they're great films. And he's talking down to everyone like this. Don't ever be like that guy. If a guy as big as Jack Nicholson can speak kindly, we must all never be like that guy. That guy got Me Too'd a few years later, and his career is never quite recovered, so I feel okay about it.
Have you been talked down to by anyone in the movie business or patronized you?
Not particularly, because nobody would do that directly. Again, I come from a film family, so I always had a certain level of protection, in that sense. That being said, I've seen certainly plenty of that behavior and those streaks within people.
Give me an example without names.
I've worked with enough actors, male and female, who are big enough that they don't have to be kind or considerate to anyone who is on a lower rung. I'm not even talking about myself, I'm talking about the crew. Consideration and respect for the people with whom you are working, because we're all here on set. Garmi to hai, everyone is hot. Some people have an air conditioning, most people don't. We are all here as part of a team trying to do a thing. Are you considerate of the people who are there? Are you showing up on time? Are you showing up at all? Are you not coming to set that day? Because I've waited many a day on set for senior actors, sun up to sundown, and like they didn't come. We all just go home. So they never spoke down to me. They just didn't give enough of a shit to even show up.
Hi Imran, what are some of the animes that you're watching or have watched in the past?
I became, I guess, particularly conscious and particularly aware of the kind of content and the kind of shows aimed towards a younger audience once I became a father. Because in the early days, I would, put on the television, and whatever the current most popular show was that all the kids were watching, like, chalo, yahi dikhate hain. And pretty quickly, I started to feel, because I was watching with Imara, now I'm watching kind of through her eyes, and I was often very uncomfortable with the portrayal of the female characters. There is this very popular show called Paw Patrol. I don't know if anyone has seen it. There's all these dogs who go around helping people. But all the male dogs have the best stories and the best equipment and all. There's one female dog who gets one pink backpack और उसको side पे बैठाते हैं हमेशा. So I would be watching this show with Imara, and I'd be like, all the boy dogs are doing all this stuff and the girl dog never gets footage. And it just felt uncomfortable. So I started consciously saying I want to look for stories that make her feel seen, make her feel empowered, that she shouldn't feel like हाँ girls का supporting role होता है. This led me to start curating shows, films, comic books, everything that she consumes, to look at it through that lens. Does it have equitable representation? Does it have progressive and positive messaging? These became major factors. her favorite show and mine, I guess, through by extension, is Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's not on television over here, so you have to find it somewhere on the internet. But it's an amazing show because its portrayal of emotional maturity is just, I think, so far beyond a lot of content that is put out for adults. So Avatar, the sequel Korra also is fantastic. I have started introducing her to One Piece, the live action, not the anime yet, because the anime is a little age inappropriate. But yeah, all with the lens of, can I show her something that has positive representation?
Nice. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And it's been really wonderful chatting, and it's been so authentic and organic. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.